Well, hi guys. I have been getting comments a lot regarding firearms, and it's nothing new. This is something that has gone on throughout my activities on YouTube regarding the outdoors. People see the places that I go and the things that I do, and a lot of these areas I frequent, and they tell me there's no way in hell they would be doing what I'm doing without a reliable firearm at the ready. And I understand. I get it. We're the biggest gun country in the world. Where just about everybody in the population is armed with something. And to clear this up so people will know, so they don't have to say this to me anymore, because what they don't understand is that I can't legally have a gun in New York. And why can I legally have a gun in New York? Well, it's because when you buy a gun, they do a background check. At least that's what gun owners tell me. I know nothing about guns. I'm just going off what I have been told. So I'm going to relay to you what I've been told. And as gun owners, you could tell me if this is correct or not. But back in 1989, when I was young and foolish, and it was over something stupid, a girlfriend, I tried to kill myself with a shotgun in a vehicle. I had the gun, the stock was down near the pedals, and the barrel was fed up through the steering wheel with a long barrel of the shotgun right at my face. It was loaded. It was loaded. Didn't have buckshot in it either. It had a slug. Would have taken my head clean off. The sheriff's department showed up. They put all their spotlights on my car. This was at night on a dirt road, kind of like the one I'm driving now. And these cop cars descended out of the sky like they came out of nowhere, lit up my car with the teardrop lights on their vehicles, and I could hear them instructing me from the safety of their vehicles. And they told me to put my hands out the window and not to move. And they were very adamant about that. So I did as I was told, because they had guns drawn on me. They were not screwing around. This was late at night. And I was on a dirt road, and they didn't know me. I didn't know them. They were unsure of the situation. And so as I looked in my driver's side mirror on the side of the door, I was in an 83 Monte Carlo at the time. I saw an officer approaching with a Beretta handgun being held in both hands firmly as he approached the driver's side door coming up the side of the car. And as he made it to my downed window, he put the gun right against the left temple of my head and pushed so firmly it left an imprint of the end of that pistol in the temple of my skin. And he pushed where my head cocked sideways. And he told me, and forgive me for using this language, but he said, "Don't you fucking move." And he had the gun right against my head, because they weren't sure if this was a suicide call or not, or if it was an ambush, which it wasn't. I was there to kill myself. And as he had the gun pressed hard against the side of my head with my hands out the window in the opposite direction, another officer came up on the passenger side and opened the passenger side door. And he also told me, "If you move, you're dead." Because he was coming in the car to get the gun out from through the being fished up through the steering wheel. And I had to move my legs so they could get it out. And they did not believe the gun was loaded. But after he took it outside and other officers approached the front of the car, they had handheld flashlights, they had guns drawn. They lit the place up like daytime. One officer cocked the gun in half, the shell ejected and hit him right in the badge on his chest. True story. That actually happened. And they were surprised it was loaded. Then the officer on the driver's side released his gun against my head, and he opened the door, and he told me to get out. And then he walked me around the open door to the front driver wheel of my Monte Carlo at the side fender, and then the cops slammed me down on the hood, kicked my legs apart, and then they violently frisked me and started removing all the contents out of my pockets. My wallet, my right pocket was full of change, and I had silver and pennies and everything in there. So they took this big handful of change, ripped it out of my pocket, making my pocket turn out wrong side out, and he dumped the fist of change on the hood. And as I'm laying face planted on the hood with my eyes facing towards the front, all I could see was a bunch of change just rolling right off the hood of my car onto the ground. And they were just checking my whole body to make sure I didn't have anything else on me. They asked me if I had any other weapons, any knives, any sharps, anything, that could injure them. And I says, no, I didn't. I said, I'm by myself, and I was out here to shoot myself. So that's how that all went down. So then after they neutralized everything and they had my weapon and it was unloaded and they had searched my pockets and frisked me thoroughly to make sure I didn't have anything being hid on me anywhere, they then pulled me up to a standing position. And then an officer put me in handcuffs. And by now I was surrounded by a bunch of sheriffs, all with their lights shining on me in all angles. So I just stood there in the center amid their light as they questioned me. What are you doing out here? Why are you trying to kill yourself? What is going on? What is this about? And when I relayed the story to them, some of the officers, I then realized I recognized Officer Daniels and Van Zyl and Snyder. I knew 3 at least of the 7. And these guys tried to warn me in the past that the girl that I was dating was no damn good. She was a game player, just was a girl that had a reputation of not being the greatest girl. And because I was a stupid teenager at the time, I didn't believe the things that these cops would tell me from time to time as I ran across them, because like I said, I was homeless before that happened. And so they got to know me through that. Being the guy from out of town, walking streets, as I'd make my way into town and then skip and go through fields to cut off, distance. And I'd get stopped by cops from time to time. But I always had ID on me because I've always held a driver's license since I was old enough to get one and got my first license. So I knew a few of the officers, and they said, see, we tried to tell you, Kev, what Kathy was like. And they says, maybe now you get it. And then some of them went back to their vehicles to write up a report. Another officer escorted me to another car where he opened up the back door and forced me to get in. And I, being 6 foot tall, long legs, I could barely fit in the back of the car. I was jammed right up against the cage of the car. And then they put on the interior lights, and the cop got in and he radioed back to dispatch to let them know what was going on and that he was going to be transporting me to the hospital where I would undergo a psychiatric evaluation. And then upon that evaluation, which by the way was almost an hour drive away from where I was. So I took a long cop car ride and the cop wouldn't even talk to me. And if I tried to reposition myself to get comfortable in the cramped back seat of that car with cuffs on, he would flick the light back on and watch me in the rearview mirror. And I says, I'm not a crazy guy. I'm not a dangerous guy. I says, I'm just somebody that's had enough. He didn't say nothing, and he turned the light back off. And so after we made it to the hospital, and they had a counselor come in and talk to me to find out what my mindset was that night. It was a trick. They were going to admit me into a mental rehab where I would spend the next 30 days behind lock and key with no freedom. And that's what I did, where they would tell you when you would take your meds, when you would exercise, when you would go to sleep, when you would eat. It was basically like a jail without the bars. But they did have expanded metal on all the windows, and the place was soundproof, to where if a fire truck went down the street outside of the building, you couldn't even hear the sirens of the truck. It was void of all noise. Kind of reminded me of the movie The One That Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with Jack Nicholson and the big Indian with the juicy fruit gum. But there was no big Indian there. Just a lot of people that just were going through things and had issues. They weren't crazy. They were just depressed. So that's my true story. And why I can't have a gun. Because anytime they do a background check, guess what comes up? That incident from way back when I was only 19 years old. So please, guys, stop with telling me I need to be armed. If they caught me with a gun today, it may be a felony. I don't know. You could tell me that if you're a gun owner. I don't know gun laws because I can't have guns. I don't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about the shotgun I had. I knew, okay, this has got to go in the barrel, and then I close it, and I got to pull the hammer back. That's about as much as I knew about the gun. And the only reason why I wasn't successful is because after the damn thing was up towards my head, I couldn't reach down to pull the trigger with my finger, and I never thought about taking off my sock and shoe and using my toe. It just never came to my mind. I was only 19 years old. I didn't know what I was doing. But I will tell you honestly, there are many times I wish I had been successful at that back then, because I wouldn't be here now facing this effed up world in the 21st century with social media and smartphones, and how people are no longer like I remembered them. I mean, for crying out loud, I can't even date a girl. Can't even get a freaking girlfriend, when back in the day I had no problem at it. But today people just don't want to do anything. They don't want to know you. People don't want relationships. People don't want to, it's over. That life is gone that I once knew. But because I can't own a gun, does that mean that I stay home and whine and cry and stay in my bedroom and say, I can't go anywhere? I don't have a gun. Everyone says I need to have a gun, so I guess I'll just stay home. Hell no. I got to have some kind of life. So I go out to remote areas, and if it means that I risk my life, then I risk my life, because at least if I lost my life, then I don't have to worry about this world anymore and all its screwed up problems, or being alone like I've been since 1995. I mean, for crying out freaking loud, how long do you have to go to where you just don't want to be here anymore? So that's why I don't have a gun. So please lay off about the guns. I could probably have a crossbow. I don't know. But that's not the same thing. And so anyway, you guys, that's why I just have bear spray and a knife. And technically in New York, you're not even allowed to have a knife over 3-inch with a blade. And when I go camping, I go with knives bigger than that. I mean, who the hell goes camping with a 3-inch knife? What the hell's that going to do? I could whittle a little bear out of wood, but is it going to protect me? No. So I'd go out into the woods without what I need because I can't have it. That's because I got balls. I don't live in fear. I'm not going to stay home because I don't have a firearm. I think somebody that goes out into the woods with a firearm is more of a chicken shit than someone that don't, and I don't. Sorry, that's just how I feel about it. I've gotten by 50 years without a gun. And the one time I had one, I almost killed myself with it. So it's probably best I don't have one. Because maybe when I got really depressed, I would be successful the next time. So there you go. Regardless of what you think of me and what you just learned in this video, it's the truth. And I'm not afraid to tell the truth. So I'm just here looking for a campsite. That's what's going on. I'm figuring out which one to get into. And as you can see, I always back in. I work with what I got, you guys. I do what I can do. But at least I do it. I'm not staying home having a love affair with Facebook. The rest of you can do that. I'm not. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye.